Welcome if you're new here, welcome back if you're not. My name is Kenzie, this is my book channel, and today I am sitting down with every single book I would recommend to people based off of different things, and we are going to talk about them. I'm going to recommend them, and yeah, it's just going to be a conversation. I don't know what else to say. But anyway, so we are going to start off with non-fictions first and kind of move our way in to, fictions, different types of books and everything. So, okay, so first, this is the only one that I recommend that I don't have a physical copy of, but it is the only book that has helped me, that has made me feel seen and heard, because I am in a season of life of, it feels like a lot of my friends are moving on and, doing life before, but before it feels like they're ready, but in reality it's actually because I'm not ready. But this book, and I'm actually in the middle of it right now, but reading this book has made me feel like other people understand. Because here's the thing, is when you're in a situation like this and others, they're not in the same situation, they don't get it. Like, they can sit there and try and give you as much advice as possible, but at the end of the day, they don't understand. They don't get it. But when you're reading or like talking to someone who does understand and does get it, that just gives you a little bit more validation, I guess, because they get it. And that book is You Are Not Behind by, I cannot think of the author's name right now, but it's somewhere on here. I'm reading this as an ebook on my Kindle app, so I did have to buy it. It was not on Kindle Unlimited, unfortunately. But it really is just helping so much, and I feel seen and heard, like I've said like a million times now. But I also feel like, okay, I'm not crazy for feeling the way that I feel. It's normal, but there are ways to get through it, So, yeah, but that has been a really, really good book. This is a Christian book, so if you're not into Christian books, I don't know what to tell you, but it really is a good read, and it's helping a lot. So, next, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the next 4 are going to be Christian books as well. You don't want to read them, that is completely fine. These are just what has helped me and helped my relationship with God. So the first 3 are Sadie Robertson books. Anything by Sadie Robertson. I love Sadie Robertson. She is just so, like, she is relatable, but she doesn't like try to be relatable to the point of like it's cringy, if that makes sense. But if you are a young girl, young woman, literally whatever, and you are trying to find your place in this world and grow your relationship with God, I would so recommend any of these books. So her first one is her Live Original book. If you are someone who struggles with not being like everyone else, this is a really good book, because so oftentimes in life we are told like, oh, you're not like so and so, or why can't you be more like so and so, and she talks about like how to be yourself and live original. And at the end of each chapter, she has these little it's called a Live Original Challenge, where it's got some questions that you can fill out. You can either write down the questions in a journal and then fill it out there, or fill it out in the book, whichever you want to do. And then at the beginning of each chapter, there is a Bible verse. So for the beginning of chapter 7, for even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Mark 10:45. And then there's a bunch of parts where she kind of references maybe a movie or, another pastor or something. So, but it really is like such a good read. And I remember reading this when I was like 17, I think, and it really helped 17-year-old baby Christian Kenzie like really understand and learn. And honestly, I'm thinking I might reread some of these books because I could use some help right now. Not gonna lie. Her next one is Live Fearless. This is more when she's like 18, 19, 20-ish range. But it's talking about like anxiety and fear and how to kind of step up in your, not only your faith, but also in like in who you are as a person, and how to like live fearless, hence the name, and just be able to be like, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna be scared to do it. And then her book Live. This one I want to say was around, yeah, this is when she was engaged to her husband. But she talks about, what does she talk about in this one? I don't know if I actually ever finished this one, if I'm being like so for real. Join Sadie as she tackles your biggest questions about life in fun and practical ways so you can learn what it means to truly live. There are inspirational stories and photography. Sadie embraces the adventures of life and walks side by side with readers on the following topics: how to replace temporary highs with the promises of God, how to dream big and follow your passion, how to celebrate every moment of your life, how to live in the moment, how to keep going until your story gets good. I don't remember most of this one, so I definitely need to reread it. I do know it was either this one or this one of the two. I know she talked about going to like a women's prison and sitting down and talking with them. I know she talks about that in one of those books. So, but yeah, if you are, I would say like ages 12 to like 21, 22-ish, my age, kind of like any of these ones are good. I know she has some other books that I don't own nor have read, so maybe if I get those and I read them, I can maybe recommend those ones as well. She has a few devotionals. I've done one of her devotionals. I really liked it. But yeah. Next, this is really good, especially if you are someone like me who is chronically single and just needs a little bit of help on figuring out exactly what to do. Because I will be the first to tell you, never change yourself for someone, for a guy, for a girl, whoever. Don't do it. Don't change yourself for someone. But it is okay to better yourself for the sake of being the best version of yourself for both you and your significant other and future children, if you choose to have children, if you choose to have a significant other, whatever. Like, I know for me personally, I want to better myself for myself, my future significant other, future children, all that. But seriously, this is a good one if you are chronically single and you are trying to be patient and wait. Loving Your Husband Before You Even Have One by Kim Vollendorf. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her last name. I don't know. But she talks about like going through life, being single, meeting her husband, learning how she could have loved her husband, before she met him. And one of the chapters, I think it's more towards the end, the amount of annotations I have in here is crazy. Am I going to be able to find it is the question. I cannot. Okay, so basically what it is it's a triangle. So, triangle. God is up here, and then husband and wife. And as the husband and wife get closer to God, the closer they get to each other. That was a really bad triangle, but you know what I'm trying to say. But it talks about like, having a Christ-centered relationship, how to have your standards for relationships, etc., etc. So yes, these, you are not behind. All of them I highly recommend, especially if you are in the same boat as me. Next, we're getting out the Christian books now. This is good if you are a huge fan of Harry Potter or of this author in general. Well, this person, I should say. Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand. I love, love, love Tom Felton. Like, he is my favorite human being on planet Earth. Um, and I have read his book 3, 4 times now, something like that. Um, as you can see, I have done some annotations. But if you grew up watching him, or even if you're just now learning who this dude is, it's a really fun book because it talks more about like how he got into acting, you know, even as a child. It talks about like his life growing up. It tackles, you know, mental health, addiction, um, growing up on the set of Harry Potter, behind the scenes on Harry Potter. There are a lot of like really funny behind the scenes stories that he puts in here, and I absolutely love them. Um, but yes, I if you are a Harry Potter fan or a Tom Felton fan, or you just like memoirs, I cannot recommend this book enough. I can't. Like, it is so good, and like, again, I already loved Tom Felton before I read his book, and I love him even more now because he does talk very honestly in the book about mental health, addiction, like I said. But when he was like, you know, promoting his book and everything, as one does, he was talking about how the reason he put that in there was not to be like, oh, hey, look at me, like I, you know, beat this addiction and everything. It was to destigmatize therapy and needing help with your mental health. Especially because, like, not in his family specifically, but like he kind of grew up in a time of like, no, mental health is stupid. Like, why on earth would you need to talk to a doctor about that type of stuff? Um, but yeah, he talks very much so about that, and it's just so good, and I love it. Next, I should have put these in order before I started recording. It's fine. Okay, next is if you are a literary fiction fan. So, I might start crying at this one, not gonna lie. I hopefully will not, but this one, I picked it up at a used bookstore. I, you know, saw it and I was like, oh, that seems interesting. Here, let me get it, let me read it. And it took a little bit for me to get into it at first because the main character was like a very grumpy old man, and I was like, oh, I do not like this dude. And then the more I read it, the more amazing it got. And the more I kind of realized, like, hey, this character is not the grumpy old man that he comes off as. He's got layers, like an ogre. Or an onion, whatever you want to call it. But no, and I started crying a little bit while reading it as well, because of the fact that it reminds me a lot of my great-grandparents. And funny thing, so my great-grandpa died in 2017 and my great-grandma passed in 2024. And then in June, in May or June of 2025, we did what's called an interment, which, if I'm not mistaken, is basically when you like take the cremated remains of loved ones and put them in, I can't think of what the name is, but like it was a wall, you know, like their grave is a wall. But anyway, so we went and we did that, and that was the day I had started reading this book because we had to travel a little bit to Colorado to do that. And that was the day I started reading this book, and when I got to thinking about that, I was like, oh my gosh, like call it what you want, divine intervention, a gift from my grandparents, whatever you want to call it, but it made me sob. And that book, because I just realized I haven't said what it is. I'm so sorry. A Man Called Ove Uva, not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, by Frederick Bachman. This book had me in tears because of how I thought about it. It was a 5-star. Like, both of these were. I should have said that, but I truly just sat there and like cried when I started to think about it. I was like, oh my gosh, from grandma and grandpa, you know. So, but yeah, the old man does like really remind me of my great grandpa a little later on in the book, and it just really made me miss them. So I cried. But if you like heartwarming, stories, a little bit of a found family community trope situation. You like reading books about characters who seem, one, like, like super tough and hard and, oh, I can take you if I need to. And then you find out, like, oh no, they're a big softie. You will love, love, love this book. Okay, this one. I really liked it. I liked the fact that it made me feel a lot of emotions. I would recommend looking up the trigger warnings before reading this book, though. Or even just reading the back, because it literally tells you on the back. I will say I did get a little angry with the main character, though, because there were times where I was like, okay, I get that you are processing this trauma the best way you know how, but I don't think you're going about it in the right way. And that is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Again, look up trigger warnings, look at the back of the book, do whatever you gotta do, but make sure you know what happened. Or, like, make sure you know these things before you go into the book, because it definitely makes you feel a lot of emotions. It makes you feel some negative emotions. Some are anger towards people, like her family, and the person who did the thing to her. But it is a good read. It is very well written, in my opinion. Again, I hated some of the characters in here. I don't love the way the girl, Eden, decided to process her trauma, but at the same time, like I said, she was doing it the best way she knew how. Like, the best way she knew how, considering the fact that certain people in her life were not helpful whatsoever. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, it's very well written. It is a good book. It is just a very heavy situation. So, moving on, you're going to move on to the romance category. Now, this is going to be contemporary romance specifically. It is going to be very... I wouldn't recommend this for anyone under the age of 17, 18, something like that. And that is the Kings of Sin series by Anna Huang. She is a go-to author of mine currently. I love her Kings of Sin series. I didn't love her Twisted series. I'm still needing to read the rest of her Gods of the Game series and read her If Love series. So, but anyway, King of Wrath is the first book in the series. I gave this book 5 stars. I really like when books make me feel emotions. Like, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie or a TV show and you see an actor that, oh, maybe you really, really like the actor, but because of, like, their character and the fact that their character is such a terrible person, you start hating the actor because they did that good of a job on the acting. That's how I feel about books. Like, if the writing can make me love or hate a character just from words on a page, I'm in love, and it is a 5 star. And that is exactly what happens in King of Wrath, specifically towards the mid-ish end. That's a goodish way to explain that. But no, it really is such a good book, and I love the way that Anna, like, introduces her characters without it being like, oh, that's Sophie, she's top of her class or whatever. I don't know. That was literally the only thing I could think of. It's a very easy, very natural feeling when she introduces new characters. But I absolutely love all of the books in the series. None of them have been below a 4. The lowest rated one I've given is King of Envy, which was literally just a 4. King of Pride and King of Greed, which are the next two. So, King of Pride, King of Greed. Both of these were 4.5s. And then King of Sloth was actually another 5 star, which this one I wasn't expecting, because I, like, sat there and started to read it and I was not loving it. Okay, anyway, I think I got to like chapter 3 and then I soft DNF'd it, and then when I picked it back up, I fell in love. I fell in love with this book. I fell in love with the characters. And then, like I said, King of Envy, I gave a solid 4 stars. I haven't read King of Gluttony yet, and King of Lust isn't out yet. But yes, the entire this entire series. Do not start with the Twisted series. Do not start with the well, I don't know about the Flip series actually. But don't start with the Gods of the Game series. Start with the Kings of Sin series. Trust me, it will give you an appreciation. Goodness, I cannot word. An appreciation for her writing, and it'll kind of give a better look at her writing. Now, every single one of her series are interconnected standalones, so you will see characters from each series in other series, but you don't get the full story yet. But of course there are romances, so you know couples are together. Like, that's all you know. Yeah, now I gotta put this back. Oh my gosh, my freaking Kingdom Pride book, dude. I dropped it in the bath. I feel so bad. But anyway. Okay, next. This one is a good... Okay, sorry. This book series is really good if you are a fan of mystery, good storytelling, a little bit of romance. I would say Alice in Wonderland meets The Princess Bride meets The Labyrinth meets its own story. And that book series is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I ate this book up. I ate it in I read it in one day, like less than 24 hours. It was absolutely amazing. I just read Legendary. It was also absolutely amazing. I can't wait to read Finale and Spectacular, and then the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Like, oh my gosh, I think I found my new favorite author. These are all YA books, so I would say like 13 onward is safe to read. There's like a minor scene that happens that's like, meh, you can tell where this was supposed to be going, but it didn't ever go there. So, but it is absolutely amazing. And I just, like, I was so shocked and in awe when I found out that this is Stephanie Garber's first book. I'm sorry, what? Like, it is rare that I read books that are like debut books for authors and they're this good. Like, genuinely so amazing. Great storytelling. A good, like, there was some humor in here, but it was very well timed. It wasn't like we're having a super sad moment and then someone decides to make some stupid corny joke. It was like a straight up, this is a good read. This is... I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't... I cannot think of what I'm trying to say. And I hate that. It's annoying me. It's annoying my brain. Anyway, but no, really, like, it's such a good series. Again, if you are a fan of Alice in Wonderland, The Princess Bride, The Labyrinth, any of those books, nope. Well, books and movies. If you're a fan of any of them, read Caraval. It is so good. So good. I was absolutely obsessed with it. Like, I literally found myself, that's what I'm trying to say. Found myself, like, when I wasn't reading it, I wanted to read it, and when I was reading it, I was upset that I hadn't read it sooner. So, but yes, truly amazing. Next, and this one is good for whether you love history, you hate history, literally whatever. It is a story about a girl. No, I'm just kidding. Well, technically, it was very well written. Even as someone who was never a big fan of history, and someone who guessed the ending like pretty easily, it is still a great story about family, about life during devastating situations. It is also a good way to kind of look at things that happened during World War II. And the reason I say that is because you probably have already guessed what the book is. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book was so good. I am not a huge fan of history, like, whatsoever. It was my worst subject in school other than science. Like, literally could not do history. it's never been my strong suit. But this book gave me a lot more perspective on everything that happened during World War II, the time of Hitler and everything. Did I absolutely hate reading some parts that were happening? Yes, because it's unfortunately things that have happened in real life. Some things that still sometimes happen today. And it made my heart ache so much for so many people. But it really is, if you are someone who, it's fine to learn history through entertainment, whether it be like a movie, a show, a musical, example Hamilton, that type of stuff, then I would recommend reading this book. It was so good. It's a historical fiction about two sisters, Isabel and Vianne. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her name. Which I absolutely love that entire storyline. But I also just love how Isabella is like, no, like, this is not okay, and I'm not going to stand for it. Like, I know I'm not invincible, but I'm not going to stand for it. And Vianne is like, I got a kid. I got to take care of her. But yeah, I did get a little emotional during some of the parts because it was from pure anger towards everything that happened in that time. Yeah, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Great book. Heavy topics that are real topics that have happened, and like I said, some of it still happens today, unfortunately. So, but yeah, those are all of the books that I would recommend, and for whatever reason, did I always get it through, like, across as to what I was trying to say? Probably not. But you know what? This was these were my recommendations. Whether you like romance, fantasy, nonfiction, literary fiction, historical fiction, literally whatever, these are the books I would recommend. So, but yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I will hopefully see you next week. I'm gonna try and film as many videos as I can when I can, but we shall see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, I will hopefully see you next week. Bye.